Hey everyone, it's Ken with Ken's Creations, and I'm back with my second video in the amazing Cricut Print Then Cut series. If you did not catch my first video, it is all about calibrating your Cricut Explorer and how to get it ready for the print then cut. So if you did not watch that video, and if you have not calibrated your machine and done a firmware update, you must do that before you can have this amazing fun with the print then cut. So definitely check out this link to do that first and then come back and watch this video. So if you have done that, amazing, let's get started on our first project. Now Cricut has made print then cut so amazingly simple. This could not be an easier process to do. I absolutely love it. So let's get started. I'm gonna go ahead and work with Cricut Images first. And the reason why is this is amazing, guys. Every single Cricut image in the library can be print then cut. Yes, you heard that right. Every single image that they offer is a print then cut image. Every full color image can be a print then cut. I know I've said that 3 times, but that's amazing. And the reason why I say that is I am a part of a ton of subscription services for a ton of different companies, and they will have a specific category for print then cut because they only offer certain files that have been converted for a print then cut. Cricut has every single file ready for print then cut. So you might ask when looking at their files then, why do some files have a little printer on them? Well, these files are very specific and they were part of the Cricut Images series, and these are the cartridges that were featured with the Cricut Images. These are specifically the Cricut Images art cartridges, and this one here is part of the Buccaneer series. So these images have already been added into the library, and if I was to bring this into my project, it is going to come in as a print then cut file ready to go. So instead of coming in as a cut design, it's going to come in as a print then cut ready to go. So Design Space is automatically assuming that this one is going to be a print then cut, where your other designs, it's going to assume you're going to want to cut those unless you tell it you want to do a print then cut. So that's the difference. So also these ones are going to offer textures and patterns and really cool different colors. So for those who are listening, that's right, they finally have added our Imagine art cartridges, which is really excited because I had all of those cartridges when I had my Imagine machine. So I'm really excited about this. Now, keep in mind, the Imagine pattern cartridges have not been added as of right now because this update does not support 12 by 12 printing yet. So right now it is just the Imagine art cartridges, and hopefully in a future update the 12 by 12 printing will be here. But that still is amazing news because there is a ton of different options now of the Cricut Images cartridges that we did not have before in Design Space. So for those who are still finding those cartridges, whether it be in craft stores on clearance or on eBay or on Amazon, wherever you might find them, if you find those and you just have the Cricut Explorer, you're not going to be able to link those cartridges using your Explorer because they are a different cartridge and they will not fit. Do not force that cartridge into your Explorer to try to get it to link. You will have to call customer service to see if they're going to be able to link that to your Cricut.com account, which I've heard they're amazing and they'll be able to do that for you. Okay, so before we even look at the Cricut Images Legacy cartridges, let's look at a basic image. So I am, some of you might know, a dog lover. So I'm going to look at a dog. And I'm going to go ahead and look at an image. Now, this is such an easy process, you guys. I can't believe how simple they've made this process to do print then cut using their images. And I think that is what has made me fall in love with the print then cut. I'm gonna go ahead and do this image right here, and I'm gonna go ahead and just do a check mark like we normally would, and I'm gonna hit insert images. Now, as you can see, it's gonna go ahead and bring this in as if I wanted to do a cut file, because this is not a one with the little printer icon, it's automatically assuming I want to do it as a cut file. Now, I want to do this as a print then cut. Now, as you can see in my Layers tab, I have some new icons. Of those, I have a Slice feature, which is kind of hard to see, and I have a Flatten feature. The Flatten feature is what we're going to be using for print then cut. And this is how easy it is, you guys. I am going to draw a box around my design. I'm going to hit Flatten. Look at that. It took all of my layers, combined them into one group, flattened it, which means it basically flattened it, saying it's going to be now a printed, automatically switched it from cut to print, and I'm ready to go. That is it. Yeah, that's a long pause because that's it. I don't have to do anything else. I don't have to trace. I don't have to do anything. That's it. I just have to size. So what size do we want to make this, everyone? Let's do, I don't know, let's do 5 inches high. Now all I have to do is hit go. Because the system knows I'm doing print then cut, it does everything else for me. It went ahead and changed my paper to 8.5 by 11. It moved my design to fit on there automatically. It put the registration marks on there automatically. It does everything. It's that simple using their images. Amazing. It's automatically put my cut lines on there. Simple. I'm kidding you not. It's that simple. Now, on this screen, you have a couple of options. As you can see around my fishbowl, there's a little bit of a thick brown line. Up here in settings, you have what's called a bleed line. And watch what happens when I take that bleed line off. See how my dog and the fishbowl get a little bit less? What that bleed line is that bleed line gives you a little bit of what I call a cushion room, or a little bit of a kind of a cushion room. And so when it's cutting, it's going to avoid any kind of white lines. And so basically by having that bleed line on when it's cutting, it's going to make sure that if it does get a little bit further away from that dog, you don't have any white lines. Now you can either have that bleed line on or you can have that bleed line off. I've done it both ways, and I've had amazing results both ways. I prefer to have the bleed line on because I just think it gives it that much more of a dynamic look. So for this demonstration, let's go ahead and have the bleed line on, and in my next one, we'll have the bleed line off. Once we have got to this point, all we have to do is hit print and continue. You're gonna see my loading preview comes up, and I already have my Epson Artisan there. There's my print registration marks. Everything is ready to go. I don't have to change anything. It is all perfect. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit print. And then it goes straight to your dialog box as if we are ready to cut this on our machine. So I'm going to go ahead and print this, and then I'm going to show you how it cuts. So we have the sheet all printed. There's my dog with the registration marks. And as you can see here, there is a little bit of that bleed mark here. And as you can see, it goes all the way around. And a lot of people will say, well, the bleed mark looks a little messy, or it might look a little blurry. It's supposed to look like that. So don't worry if it looks like that. But we're gonna go ahead and put this into the machine. Load our mat like normal. And then just hit go just like we would on normal cutting. It's going to go ahead and start the registration marks, and it's going to go ahead and turn on its light and read all 3 registration marks. Okay, so it is finished with its cutting. I'm going to go ahead and take it out here. Now, one of my biggest pet peeves about print then cut is white lines around my print then cut. So let's see how this did. So first of all, look at that. That's absolutely amazing. That's that bleed I was talking to you about. And that just, I mean, dead on. And then let's go ahead and, wow, that's beautiful. Look at that. That is an absolutely amazing print then cut. No white. I'm almost a little speechless here. That, I mean, look at that in the water there. Around the greenery in that fish tank, around the bubbles here. That did a beautiful job. And the puppy's legs here. I mean, even look in the, around that carpet. That is simply amazing. Beautiful job. Print then cut, Cricut did. And it was so simple. There was no tracing. There was no tears. There was no frustrations. That was a simple process and the results are simply amazing. And that's with the bleed line. So as you can see, there is the paper outside of it. So you guys, that is using the Cricut Images. So that's my first time. I have to say I'm amazed. That is a beautiful print then cut. So I want to do a couple more test cuts with you guys. I want to see the rest of this processes. So let's go ahead and try a Imagine piece and see how those turn out. I want to see what the pattern looks like in those. So let's go ahead and start on that now. So everyone, I have to say that was pretty painless. There was no tears. We went from inserting our image, flattening that image, printing the image, and then cutting it. That was simply amazing. And the results speak for themselves. I was pretty blown away. I'm pretty particular on my print then cut, and I really hate it when I have white edges on my print then cut. And I've spent many, many hours on competitor machines redoing print then cut. So first time out the gate, pretty impressive. So let's go ahead and take a look at my next test, which are those Imagine cartridges. I had all those Imagine cartridges and I want to see how those do. So I did some digging and I found out that if you go to Insert Images, there is a new category under your filter, which is the Printables category. And I noticed this is where all of your old legacy Imagine cartridges are. And I'm assuming in the future Cricut will also be releasing other printables that they'll put in this category. So I'm going to go ahead and just select one of these to test. Now, once again, I've already said this, but the reason why it already has that print icon is it's going to assume that you want to go ahead and print this and do a print then cut versus doing cut files. So when I go ahead and select this and insert this into my design space, it's going to already have flattened your image for you. You don't have to select it and flatten it. It automatically assumes it's a print then cut. So all I have to do is size it and go, which makes this really nice. It takes out that process. Now, keep in mind, if I wanted to reverse the process, I could hit unflatten and it's going to break down all of that pieces into separate layers. And I can go ahead and click on the eyeballs on every single one of these and I can cut. I can change all of these from print to cut. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to go ahead and change it from that pattern paper, as you can see, and it's automatically going to change it to a solid color because now it is a cut versus a print. So it's going to do its design space thing and automatically try to figure out what color to make it, so that way it can figure out what how to cut it and everything. But that's nice. We can finally cut those Imagine cartridges too, which is awesome. So there you go. If we want to go ahead and cut those, we could. So you don't just have to use those old legacy cartridges as a print then cut. If we wanted to, we would be able to absolutely use these as cut files. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take a look at this, and we're going to go ahead and cut this. Now, I'm just hitting the back key, but I could very well have flattened this image again, but I'm going to resize this. I'm going to resize this to, let's go ahead and do this one at 4 inches high. And I'm just going to hit go like I did last time. It's going to automatically do everything for me because it knows it's a print then cut. No tracing, no worrying about anything. It's going to go ahead and put my registration marks on there. I don't have to do that. It's going to automatically figure out where my cut lines go. I don't have to do that. It does everything for me, which is amazing. So there I am. It's telling me I'm good to go. It has my cut lines. It knows it's a print then cut. There's my registration lines. I'm in the yellow here, so I am ready to go. Now, once again, there's that settings. So last time I had my bleed line on. I could turn my bleed line off if I want to, but I'm going to go ahead and leave it on once again just because I want to see what that bleed line does. And then I will do some test lines with the bleed line off for you so we can see what that looks like. But once again, I'm going to leave it on to see how this one does as well. So I'm going to hit print and continue, and then we're going to go ahead and take a look to see how this one does on the finished result. So let's go ahead and print that and see what it does. Okay, so it printed, and as you can see, there it is. I absolutely love the Imagine cartridges, everyone. I've forgotten how much I've missed these cartridges. As you can see, it just does a great texture and tons of different patterns. So this is off the Buccaneer Imagine cartridge. So I'm going to go ahead and put this into the machine. We're going to see how this print then cut does. We're just going to go ahead and follow the instructions. We're just going to hit the go. It's going to go ahead and do the registration marks on all three there. And then it's going to go ahead and cut it. Now, once again, I did do the bleed lines on this, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you what it looks like without the bleed line. So let's see how this one does. Okay, so I'm a little concerned on this one because I have no idea what it was cutting. I thought it was going to cut just the outside of the ship and maybe in here, but the machine was going wild and cutting everywhere. So this will be very interesting to see exactly what it all cut, because when I had this cartridge with my Imagine, I never used it, to be honest. So, and once again, we'll see how well this did with the, so there is the void that's left after, which is very impressive. Once again, I'm really impressed so far. But let's weed out. Wow. Holy moly, that is simply out of this world. That is amazing. So look at that. You guys, look at just, I mean, it got in there. I mean, it just, that is a beautiful print then cut. I am simply stunned. There is no white to be found. No white anywhere. It got in here, do a little cleanup here, but I mean, that is just, look at in there. I mean, like I said, this machine was going crazy just cutting, and I had no idea what it was cutting. This is going to be beautiful on a card. You could put this in a frame, but just look at that print then cut. I'm almost speechless on how, I think it did a great job. Absolutely amazing job. So What I want to show you next really quick is how well this machine does, or see how well the machine does when there's 2 images on the mat. I want to see how well it does cutting 2 images on the mat, and then I also want to show those 2 images without the bleed line. Let's see how close it can get without the bleed line and compare it to those 2 images. So let's take a look at that. So that ship was pretty amazing. However, I want to test the boundaries of the print then cut. So I'm going to take both these images, shrink them down, take that bleed line away, and see what this can do. So in order to do that, I have both images in Design Space. I need to go ahead and turn this puppy into a print then cut. Right now he is a cut file, so to do that we have all of our pieces highlight, and I'm just going to hit flatten, and that's going to tell the system that it is a print then cut file. The ship is already a print then cut file because it has a little printer icon next to it, and it also had a printer icon when we were searching for the image. Now I want these images to be shrunk down, so I'm going to do them at about 3.75 inches, and the reason why is because obviously we are printing on about 8.5 by 11 paper. So obviously we need this to fit onto that paper. So I'm going to hit go, and we are going to have Design Space do everything else for us. It's going to position everything. It's going to put the registration marks. It's going to figure out the cut lines for us. All we need to do then at that point is remove that bleed line because we want to test to see how it's going to do compared to our other ones. Once we have done that, we should be good to go. Okay, so we're going to turn our bleed lines off and hit print and continue. So the machine's already cut those 2 designs, so I'm going to go ahead and take it off and see how it did. Now keep in mind, we did not do any bleeds on this, and we shrunk it down. So these were cut at I believe we did 3.75 inches, so a little bit smaller. And then I'm going to compare it to what it looked like with the bleed lines and just see how well it did. So this has no bleed lines, so I anticipate there's going to be a little bit of white around the edges. So there is the dog, and I'm still really impressed. There's a little bit, just a little bit of white you can see, but for not having any bleed, that's very impressive. So we can put that down here, and you can take a look at the difference while I'm getting the pirate ship off. Pirate ship, I was a little concerned about not having a bleed line because it was very small. But there, as you can see, is the pirate ship without any bleed line. So once again, beautiful print then cut job. So I will put that right next down to it. So the top, as you can see here, is with a bleed. Bottom is without a bleed. So I cannot say enough about this technology, you guys. Super simple, super easy, and the fact that you can put the bleed line or remove the bleed line just gives you that much more options. And the fact that I shrunk down these designs on the bottom and removed the bleed line, and there was 2 images on that sheet of paper, just shows you how great this technology is. So, amazing job. So everyone, that is first glance at the print then cut with the Cricut Explorer. That's taking a look using their images and how to go through the process from start to finish. So as you can see, the calibration process was super simple, and actually going through the print then cut is really simple. You can go from the design to the print to the cut in a matter of seconds. And Design Space does everything for you. There's simply no tracing. You don't have to worry about your cut lines. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff. You can actually focus on the designing, and the results speak for themselves. Once again, just look at these amazing results, and I wanted to put them on a bright color background so you can see there is no white lines around here. It does a simply stunning job. This here, once again, down here are the ones with the bleed line, which gives you a little bit of a buffering room. But up here, once again, these did not have any bleed lines. And it's just simply amazing on how great it did and how precise it got around these images. I'm just simply amazed on how great this technology really did. So I think Cricut did an amazing job, and the reason they waited so long was they wanted to make sure that this technology, they just hit it out of the park, and I really do think they did. So I look forward to showing you guys more videos. In my next series of videos, I'm going to show you how you can do this with any SVG image. I'm going to show you how you can do it with your personal photographs. I have a whole bunch of projects planned. I'm really excited how you can make your own custom phone cases, what you can do with the printable vinyl, the printable sticker sheets, and I'm just really excited to just show you all I have in store for you. So it's very important to make sure you're subscribing to this channel. You can subscribe now just by clicking subscribe here. Make sure you're checking out my blog over at www.creativeken.blogspot.com. Make sure you're checking out my Twitter page, my Pinterest page, my Facebook page. Basically, anywhere I'm on the internet, you want to make sure you're checking me out there. All right, I really hope you guys enjoyed the Print Then Cut with Cricut Explorer. I know I did. I know I'm thoroughly impressed with it, and I really hope you guys followed along and you were impressed with the results you got on your Cricut Explorer. So, all right, finish watching this video, go in your craft room, get on those computers, go out there and create something beautiful and magical with your Cricut Explorers. Thanks for watching, guys. Have an amazing day.